On temperament, so this is individual differences in behavioral styles, emotions, and characteristic ways of responding. Basically, how quickly is an emotion shown, how strong is it, how long does it last, and how quickly does it fade away. Emotional reactivity, and it's also going to be related to self-regulation, the speed and intensity of positive and negative emotions. And the extent or effectiveness that a person has over their control over their own emotions. And we will talk more about self-regulation throughout the course because it is super important to being successful. These traits for temperament are somewhat stable across the childhood years and maybe even into adult years. So the temperament you're born with has the potential to stick with you. Basically, you potentially, as far as temperament goes, you can be born a certain way. That's the biology, and that's who you're going to be. Can you ever make an extremely introverted kid extroverted? So this is kind of a nature nurture thing we've talked about before. There's a kid at daycare, extremely introverted. I have never heard her say a word, not a single word. Every time she walks into the daycare, she walks into the room and just stands over by the door. She doesn't even want to come into the room. It's like, it's her nature. That's her biology. How much... we've talked about it before. Here's your nature, and it's going to give you, you have variations along that course, but, you're not going to make her, I don't think anyways, extremely extroverted person later on in life, unless something, big happens, which there can be big things that happens to people that changes them dramatically. For example, a stroke can make an introverted person extroverted because it can just change the way that the brain responds to things. On these classifications, so this is Chess and Thomas's classifications, they have 3 different ones that they talk about. You have the easy child, which is about 40% of kids. They are generally in a positive mood. They quickly establish regular routines in infancy, and they adapt easily to new experiences. These are the great kids to be around. And so Leif and my niece, they are both this type, and it makes it easy to like them, and so consequently you want to take care of them. They are happy, and so it rubs off on you. You like being around them. And so easy children, they're easy to raise, essentially. And they both followed a sleep routine just like that. They got into it, no problem, right to sleep. And so you like kids like that. Difficult children, this is only 10% of kids. They react negatively, they cry frequently, they engage in irregular daily routines, so maybe they wake up all night long, and they are slow to accept change. And this has got to be rough. The idea that you're not going to be able to sleep, you're not going to be able to concentrate, there's going to be a lot of crying, there's going to be a lot of fighting on every single thing that you're doing, what you're eating, when sleep, all that stuff. So having a difficult child is going to be a difficult time. Slow to warm up. They are more of a low activity level. It's kind of negative. They don't have a lot of intensity of mood. They're just kind of there. And so that's only 15%. All that being said, there's about 35% that's unaccounted for in those kinds. So that means that there's kids that vary among their temperaments, or they don't fit well into one of these. And so just kind of as like a side note, how good is a measurement when it misses 35% of the kids? So something to think about. Goodness of fit is related to this, the match between a child's temperament and the environment that they are in, the environmental demands that the kid's going to have to deal with. And a lack of fit can produce adjustment problems. So an easy temperament, they're okay with going out and doing things. You could take them out to a loud restaurant and they love it. Like Leif, he loved, not right now, we don't go to restaurants. This is the fall of 2020, so we're still kind of COVID stuff, so we don't get to go out to restaurants. But when we did go to restaurants, boy, he loved it. He loved seeing, all these different things, all the novel stimuli he got to see. Tasting the new foods, he loved all that kind of stuff because he's an easy temperament. He gets along with that kind of stuff. A difficult temperament kid is not so much. They may not want to go out to the restaurants. They may not like loud stuff. So if you like going out to restaurants, but this kid that you have doesn't, that's going to be a problem of fit, and that's something that you're going to have to adjust. You're going to have to accommodate each other. Maybe you get to go out to restaurants, but you don't get to stay as long. Like with Leif, we could stay out for 2 hours if we wanted to, and he'd love it. So if you're like that, you might just be able to go out for 30 minutes and you got to come back. So it'd be goodness of fit, that there's a lack of compatibility, almost would be one way to think about it, between the parents and the kids, the way they are set up. All right, that is temperament. Next, we will talk about the first Erikson stage, and we'll talk about the development of the helicopter parent.